Hello, welcome back to From the Shed End. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, as always, please make sure you subscribe, hit that Linktree link and all that good stuff in the description of this video. But we are talking Chelsea 2, LAFC 0. Club World Cup kicked off yesterday. Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, looking like the empty had in Manchester. But let's talk about the game. Let's get straight into the game because we did have to put out a strong squad, as we predicted on our socials, but we also got to see some of our new players in the Sugo, Liam Delap, showcase what they can potentially do in this tournament. But let's start with the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, and I'm not talking Liam Delap. I'm talking Noni Madueke. Stinker of a performance yesterday. Stinker of a performance. Whether that was because he was on the left side of the attack, whether that was because he was tired, fatigue. I don't think I've seen a player in a long time lose the ball, lose possession of the ball, not be able to take on a fullback, on a 1v1. Missed a really good chance in the first half. I said yesterday in the preview that this is the moment for certain players to showcase and give themselves a springboard to show why they should be staying in the team or at the club. Noni Madueke did no favours yesterday because that performance was dire. It was poor. The lineup was very self-explanatory. I think we got to see Robert Sanchez in goal, Reece James, Tosin, Colwell, Cucurella. We did see the midfield of... who was in the midfield, actually? It's a good point. Who was in our midfield? It was Caicedo and Lavia. Caicedo, Lavia, Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto on the right, Noni Madueke on the left, and Nicolas Jackson, surprisingly up front. Now, I want to talk about Mark Cucurella and Levi Colwell because I thought I was watching a completely different game. There's been a couple of reports this morning saying that Cucurella had a bad game. I thought, what game were they watching? Cucurella was probably one of the best players on the pitch for us yesterday. Non-stop, didn't start running. The usual performance, a good, for me, a nice solid 9 out of 10 performance. He was dropping in. If you know how Maresca wants his fullbacks to play, Reece James was dropping into that midfield. Cucurella was doing the same. We played a very high line for the best part of 60, 70 minutes of that game until the subs were made. But we dominated possession in that game. There wasn't really too much trouble for Tosin and Colwell. Sanchez, I think, pulled off a good save in that first half. But apart from that, we in an attacking approach didn't really make anything happen apart from that Noni Madueke chance in the first half. So I think as the time goes on throughout this tournament, we are going to have to step things up. And maybe that was just, again, the players have been on international duty. They've been away from the Chelsea setup for some weeks now since the season ended. But maybe we're going to see a bit more things clicking going forward. But there were some positives to take out of it. As I said, I was happy that we got to see Reece James. His minutes were managed. I would have liked to have seen him see out the game, if I'm honest. But, Maresca is hell-bent on giving him a rest when he can. And at that point, we needed to potentially rest him. Malo Gusto comes on. I thought Caicedo was brilliant, breaking up play, transitioning the ball forward perfectly as well. But the goal was brilliant. Now, Nicolas Jackson, heavily criticised throughout the season, put in a really solid performance yesterday, not just because of his attacking threat going forward, but I think, he had the awareness to drop into the midfield, holds up the ball really well. He was stretching out the defence line as well, running, making the correct runs towards the channels as well. And he done that on a number of occasions. And that ball through was perfectly, the weight of the pass was brilliant. To get the assist for that first goal was perfect. Neto still, he gets the ball in the right area. He still has a lot to do with it as well. That goal is not easy, to cut back in the way that he did and then to beat the goalkeeper at his near post. For me, that's a really good attacker's finish. So I was really impressed with that goal. But as I said, apart from the goal that first half, there wasn't really much we were doing in terms of creating chances, making something happen, testing the goalkeeper. And I do think that was purely down to Noni Madueke on the left. Cole Palmer was, again, a bit hesitant to take shots. I thought, again, yesterday, we're used to seeing Cole Palmer take, an instant shot rather than take 2 or 3 touches like he did yesterday. He's waiting for the right moment to release the ball, take the shot. Sometimes you just got to shoot the ball. And if it goes over the bar, it goes over the bar. If it takes a deflection, it does. But to take too many chances, LAFC yesterday were quite good for spells of their defensive work by closing down the space, being that from Madueke or Neto or Jackson or Palmer. But they were quick to retract back into that defensive shape, make it difficult. We had to break them down a couple of times, but we have to do more in the next games. The next 2 group games, we have to do more in terms of the attack and go out there. You see Bayern Munich beating teams 10-0. We have to be on that wavelength. And even yesterday, we got to see Benfica almost struggle to get through their game. They got a point in the end, but we have to do more. Very impressive Maresca's subs at after the halftime. The second half, we did get to see a Sugo. We got to see Malo Gusto come on as well. Enzo Fernandez came on. And of course, Liam Delap entered the stage 65 minutes or just beyond 65 minutes into the game. I'm going to be honest, I was really, really impressed with Liam Delap. I thought he put in a solid performance. It's almost like a breath of fresh air to see a natural number 9. And I don't mean that in a criticism to Jackson, but to see someone that's able to get the ball, the runs that he was making, it's a striker's run. It's a run that you run across goal, create space, and that's how you get not just goals, but you also add assists to your game, because the ball that he receives, he makes a perfect run, Liam Delap, to the right side of the pitch, down the wing, feeds the ball into Enzo Fernandez. And Enzo Fernandez, I said it a couple of weeks ago, he reminds me of Frank Lampard. He just arrives in the box at the last minute, the right moment. Enzo Fernandez is there, makes a bit of a meal of the goal, but he still scores it. And I think, if I'm honest, it relaxes a bit of the Chelsea fans, takes the pressure off us at 1-0. You go into that game 2-0, you can calm things down, dictate the possession of the ball a little bit more than we did. But it was overall a solid performance. Overall, I don't think there's too much I can criticise the team about or Maresca. I think he had to go with a strong squad. He had to go with the squad that was going to get him the 3 points. I do think the things that you can take away from this is that we do need someone on that left wing, because if it's not going to be Pedro Neto, which it looks more likely he's going to be on the right side now of the attack, we need to bring someone in on that left side. And that could be Nicolas Jackson that fills in there for the best part of pre-season and maybe the early part of the season. But we have to. This is why we're going for Gittins, or we're trying to get Garnacho, or we're trying to get X, Y, and Z players to come in, because you can clearly see there's a gap. That left side for me is the worry. We talk about needing a goalkeeper. We talk about needing another elite striker, which are both things are true. But if you look at that left side, Marco Correa, the only natural left back in the team now. You look at Noni Madueke, who just seems to be struggling. I think it was the Liverpool game in the season where he played on the left, and he actually done well. He played really well up against Trent, and I think it was Conor Bradley as well. But yesterday, the back end of the season, I remember, I think the Forest game he played there, he just didn't look comfortable. He didn't look comfortable on the left. He's always trying to cut in. He can't beat his player. It just didn't fill me with confidence that we could play him there in the Premier League next season. So I think if there's things that we need to tick off on our list for the upcoming season, is definitely look at that left side, bring in a number 2, an understudy for Cucurella. Look who we can bring in as a left side and attacker, and those options there. I still think we need another elite striker. But overall, the performance wasn't bad. I liked Lavia. I liked the fact he was linking up well with Caicedo and the forward players. You can see that Cole Palmer and Delap will have a really good relationship if they can carry that on throughout the season and in the Club World Cup. And we have to credit Robert Sanchez, because as much as he didn't have much to do when he was called upon, he was able to bar the 1 or 2 little sloppy moments with the distribution. But apart from that, he put in a really good, another solid performance. So we have to credit Maresca. We have to credit the Chelsea players for how they played. 2 other things actually I want to talk about before we wrap this video up. One, what was that walkout? What was the walkout at the start of the game? One individual player coming out. What is all that about? And ref cam. You can tell the Club World Cup is in America. It's just crazy to think that these are the things we might see in the Premier League in the next season or 2. But let me know what your thoughts were about the game. Was it a resounding 2-0 win for Chelsea? Did we make things harder than we needed to? And what do we need to change for the next game on Friday night as well, 7 p.m? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to the video and also like this video before you do anything else. And we will be back soon with another one. Enjoy the rest of the week.